Boom, we are alive, ladies and gentlemen. Right off the get-go, see how the light is blue? This is because I actually have no electricity right now. So we're running on backups, ladies and gentlemen. Blue is a little bit of a nicer mood light. Anyways, look at that, all mysterious. We're going to go over a few things today. We're actually not even going to start with price. Where I do want to start, though, is Glassnode. So for those of you that have been following for quite some time, you'll know that one of our kind of key interests around the story of supply and demand is around the amount of open supply on the market. Now, supply on the market increases basically the volatility, right? So if we zoom out here a little bit, you can see since March 11th, the kind of peak here, March 11th, 12th, 13th, that was when the most supply was on the market, and that's when the prices was the lowest. And we have a relationship to some degree of market supply coming onto the market and then starting to disappear. And as the supply started to disappear, that's when the bull market really started to kick off. And one of the reasons why this is, and we're going to get into this here, is let's actually just basically show only the start of the bull market here since December. So here you can see the decrease in supply and the increase in price, and it's almost a total inversion here. When the supply was the lowest, the price was the highest, and as we started to fall down here, you saw the first big increase of supply onto the market, and as the price started to fall, you saw the first big increase of supply come onto the market. So again, we'll kind of go over this for those of you that are new to the channel. We are very interested in this supply and demand characteristic because the less supply, the more volatile. So again, here on a closer nature, the kind of inverse nature between the price and the supply at the bottom and the price at the top. And as the supply came onto the market, that almost instantaneous, instant correlation where the supply comes in and the price goes down, supply comes in, price goes down. And here we've seen a massive amount of supply bought up and taken off the market within the last 24 hours. Why is this important? Well, it represents a big change of character, at least in the supply and demand characteristics, kind of ignoring the price. And they're not always perfectly inverted. Again, bigger players get really good at accumulating Bitcoin or any asset at a lower price without garnering too much attention in that ecosystem. So what I think what we're witnessing right now is big players showing up and biting down hard and accumulating a lot of Bitcoin. And again, that's from 13.69% on the 6th, dropping down to 13.4% on the 8th. So it doesn't sound like a whole lot, but that's hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin. And again, we're almost back where we were when we were around $60,000 Bitcoin. So once the supply leaves the market, the volatility usually ends up to the upside. So let's go over a few more things before we look at Bitcoin's price, but we'll get there. Next thing, that's Ethereum. We're going to go to the fear and greed index. So one of the things that's important here, I think at least, is understanding that fear is kind of a general driver of market sentiment to the downside. And almost every time that happens, so this that's not a very helpful circle to draw, is it now? Let's try this again. Yeah, this area here, this was March 11th of 2020, and the fear was the highest it had been in quite some time. Now, we do have areas, again, this is where we were around $3,000 in 2018. This is when we came back down to $6,000 in 2019. So the fear does not perfectly correlate with price, but again, this was the pandemic of 2020, and right now we are currently at pandemic lows on the far right hand side of this chart for the fear versus greed index. Now again, if you look back in 2018, this was around $6,000. So we were in this extremely overdriven fear area quite a few times in the market breakdown prior, right? So even though the pandemic was a price of $3,000, these were the prices of $6,000 after the bull market ended, right? So these represented great accumulation areas for the preceding future. Effectively, what a lot of people get wrong is getting this part wrong, which is age-old quote, buy when others are fearful and sell when others are greedy. Now, I'm not that much of a greedy person, so from now on, I'm going to use other people to judge their greed off the markets. if you joined our videos, especially in our private group, you will have noted multiple times where I talked about the Dogecoin millionaires. This was a sign of an intermediary market cycle top. We were chatting with our tech team, laughing at Richard Hart's fucking Louis Vuitton life jacket. That was a clear market cycle. Hey, lights are back on. That's great. That was a market cycle top. So inevitably, what you want to look for in both bottom and top scenarios is actually most or largely indicated by people's emotions, as well as these supply and demand characteristics. So when we see this kind of extreme fear moment where we are right now, comparative to the pandemic, but also comparative to the end of the bull market in 2018, where we are bouncing around $6,000 and around $3,000 as well. So the fear and greed index is not a price indicator. It's just that on average, if you had accumulated Bitcoin at anything below 30 on the fear range, you were making a good investment. So just keep that in mind. Okay, here we are. Bitcoin's price itself. Let's get rid of the Bollinger Band. Oh, and the power is back off. That did not last very long, Costa Rica. Okay, here we go. I can't win them all. Oh no, now it's gonna beep at me too. These backup batteries. That's gonna be hyper annoying. I'm gonna have to turn those off, ladies and gentlemen. One sec. And this is why we're going to move to Indonesia for a little bit, because as the rainy season starts to kick in here, everything is significantly less reliable, and that's just not fun. Nobody likes that. Okay, so here we are. Bitcoin, we're in a nice trading range. We're down near the bottom of that trading range. We've seen an enormous amount of supply come into the market to get us here. Both in our primary shakeout. So again, for those of you that are like studying the Wyckoff trading ranges, something we're big fans of, it is key to note that these can very quickly turn into redistribution patterns and we can come lower. Keep that in mind. If you go back and watch our videos, we took out a big chunk of Bitcoin and sold it around here at around 56,000, this first warning sign. You can do that if you are interested by going and looking at our TradingView account and following us as well. It's another place to go. You can follow us on TradingView under Arcane Bear. We give away some free indicators there too. But this one here, this was our distribution pattern. I posted this April 23 for all of our private members. Again, we took our exits here at 56 and shared this shortly after. Again, this was the clear indicator and not so clear indicator of why we removed risk from the table. There's just limited upside and potential downside. It was like right in the middle of the bear or in the bull market. It's like close enough. Okay, so back to the story. This moment can become distribution and we could come lower. Yes. And actually there's a really fun story that takes place there. So if I zoom out and we use our Bitcoin to USD chart, something that we've been charting all the way since back in March, haven't really changed this drawing. We can see that there are a few really important things that are taking place. Number one, you have the top of the larger trading range at around $18,000 to $20,000 with the primary support of the entire bull market that is at least $19,000 too. So we very well could have a drop down to 20,000, a relief rally up to 24, and maybe we continue in a bear market. Something doesn't tell me that's the case. Something tells me again we're gonna get this like kind of awkward month or two process where we kind of move around in this upper trading range before continuing higher. And there are a few indicators that we'll go over again in the rest of this episode to kind of flush that out. But again, recognize first and foremost, if you're new to these markets, you should be taking a macro perspective. You should have been joining the Bear family and making entries with us between the $6,000, $9,000, $10,000, $11,000 area, and none of this would bother you. If you got into the market late and you are new and a retail investor, what you should note is the longevity of learning how to invest. It is like going to the gym. You should continually make investments over and over and over and over again for years. Let's say back in 2020 or 2017, you bought the all-time high. Well, if you were smart, what you would do is you would just keep continuing to buy Bitcoin every month that you could afford to do so, and you would do phenomenally well over the course of 10 years. So for those of you that are like, get caught up in the hype cycle, that sucks to be you. What we try to do is help you not make the same mistakes that most people make by losing money by doing dumb things like trading with leverage. Don't trade with leverage, just as a heads up. So Could we come down to 20 grand? Yeah, sure. Again, I'm definitely better at calling the beginning of the bull market, maybe not so much the end of it. But we've taken some of our profits off the table. And again, we're looking at a fairly interesting region right here with Bitcoin, and we're always learning. And again, getting it exactly right is not important. Most of the people that are trying to call these bottoms and tops make less money than we do as just venture capitalist investors. So if you want to get all emotional, you go right ahead, you do your thing. Well, actually, I like getting emotional too. I play music. Half the reason why I can write good music is because I can be emotional. I'm not knocking being emotional, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just saying it's not a good investment strategy. As we move through this trading range, this could become distribution and we could come down to say $19,000. But we're actually seeing some key important parts. Now, generally we want to see a spring that's at least equivalent to the shakeout here. Not the selling climax, but the shakeout. And we've kind of seen that. And we have seen a really quick turnaround right around the bottom of this trading range too. I mean, we could double down and say that we're right at the bottom of it like this. So it's not looking great per se, right? But when we look at, again, the overall market dynamics and we go and we look at something like this on Glassnode, you see an enormous amount of Bitcoin being taken off the exchanges. We haven't seen a downward swipe like that in quite some time. Like well, let's see here. Let's compare it. So compare it to the end of the cycle here, where we basically just went up. We were there. Bitcoin day over day was going up before, and the price was going down. Here, this price declination has also been turned around by Bitcoin leaving the open exchanges. That's a bullish indicator. That's not a bearish indicator. And again, the other key thing that's been kind of confusing here is the stock to flow deflection, and the reserve risk ratio. So again, keep this in mind. What I'm about to show you, the stock to flow deflection model, represents times when it is cheaper to buy Bitcoin than it is to mine Bitcoin. Every time that Bitcoin is in the green, it is cheaper to buy it than it is to mine it. The last time we have seen prices this low relative to mining was first off, back in February 2019, February 9th, 2019, when Bitcoin hit 3 grand. We're lower than that. And the last time we've seen anything this low was right before the bull market kicked off into a little bit of insanity back in 2017. So again, there are some clear on-chain metrics here that are saying we are quite bullish. So where does the bullishness come from? Okay, so for any of you that again have studied the Wyckoff trading method and really gotten into it, you'll recognize that the macro perspective is extraordinarily important. And when you're looking at these macro trading ranges and accumulation ranges, when you have a SOS like this, you often get an LPS. So an SOS stands for sign of strength. Well, there was definitely strength there. And the LPS stands as a last point of supply before we go ripping. So ultimately, I feel quite bullish still. I know it's always a hard one to fight off. You're like, oh, well, Tio, you're telling me, how could you be bullish if it go? Well, I don't even have any color light on right now, technically, or I have a blue one. I don't know what, I have like my Viagra light. I make jokes. I hope you guys all enjoyed this content. Give us the thumbs up if you enjoyed this content. I always like ranting. I say pretty ridiculous things. I'm pretty sure I call the blue light a Viagra light. Anyways, keep that in mind, or don't. First off, I don't think we're gonna get an LPS down to 19 or 20. If we do, that represents an enormous opportunity to accumulate more Bitcoin in general. Now, Ethereum, on the other hand, we started taking most of our entries for Ethereum around $200. We are up real high since then. So this is the $400 to $300 area. We are up almost 10x from that in Ethereum. So ultimately, you want to keep two things in mind. Number one, if you're new to investing and you showed up late, you made the mistake of not recognizing most of our entry points that we were making back here in Ethereum around the, let's say, $200 to $400 area. And then that way you're feeling much, much worse about being in an investment here. There's a saying I really like: buy right and sit tight. And most of our entries for Ethereum were made between $250 and $350. You can go back and watch all of our videos where we get super amped, super stoked, and talk about this freaking awesome opportunity to be in a bull market. Here's March 11th. Here's that nice, beautiful reaccumulation pattern that we jumped in on and we got super excited about in all of our videos during May, June, July. Let's see, I'll draw a line here, basically like this, beautiful horizontal accumulation range. We saw an intermediary temporary distributional top, which turned into a reaccumulation after decline before this entire bull market started. So if you show up late and you buy a bunch of Ethereum at $4,000 and it drops 40%, that's not bothering all of us bear family who got in early. Now you're saying, well, Tio, I wasn't in early. What good does that do me? Well, it actually should do you a lot of good because it should remind you the importance of showing up to the macro story, which is that even if you did buy at the top of Bitcoin in 2017, as long as you continue to show up and you make month-over-month investments the same way you would by going to the gym, you will do extraordinarily well. Whereas if you just bought here and then sold here, you fucked up. So don't do that. Even if this is the end of the bear market, like the end of the bull market, and we come down to 20 grand and we spend a year or two at 20 grand, that sounds amazing to people like me because that's how the game is played. Okay, back to the stock to flow deflection model. Again, we haven't seen prices this low for Bitcoin, at least back since 2017, retrospectively speaking. The reserve risk is another great way to look at this. And every day we go forward, we're actually getting really close to basically a non-risky entry for Bitcoin. And we do see similar analogs to this back in 2013, where we had big spikes and dramatic returns just to above the reserve risk ratio before shooting up into like a clearly oversold territory. So I'm not of the mind that this bull market is over. I do believe we are still going to get probably about a month or two of a reaccumulation. If we come down to 20 grand, amazing. Represents another extraordinarily huge buying opportunity. Again, for anyone who's a good investor, Michael Saylor's doing a great job of teaching what rich people do and not what poor people do. Rich people go, great, the price is cheaper, I'm going to buy more. Poor people get scared, go, oh my God, I'm going to sell. Don't play the game wrong. That's not how you win. You win the game by playing the way the rich people play the game. Okay? Anyways, I hope that's been helpful for you. Try to keep showing up here. Oh yeah, lastly, we'll go over this one as well. This is from CryptoQuant. Yeah, there's his name, CryptoQuant. I would somewhat disagree, but only based off the way I look at inflow and outflows. Here is an outflow coordination, and you can see 359,000 Ethereum left the market today. So on the right hand side of this chart here, you can see these massive exchange outflows. I'll circle that. This huge red, or this huge line right here, that's an exchange outflow. And what's important about that is that's around 395,000 Ethereum that just left Coinbase during that moment. And again, here you can see another huge outflow, another big outflow. And back when all the smart people like me were trying to scream bull market and you should have been accumulating the real big players' outflows. Not that I'm a real big player. I just happen to be a smarter one. I'll get there. Wealth takes time, ladies and gentlemen. Anyone who gets there early is usually lucky. Not that I'm knocking them for being lucky. Everybody hopes they get lucky. Like if you win the lottery, great. That's fantastic. But it's usually like 50 and onwards where you get into the hundreds of millions of dollars. But anyways, big outflows here, all through that accumulation range between the $200 to $400 mark. This is our favorite area to accumulate. And this is where the big players like to accumulate as well. But those who showed up late to the market are still taking huge bites out of Ethereum here as well. In fact, the outflow total, due to all the hype, is orders of magnitude almost higher than it was back here. Again, this is 200,000 Ethereum on average, 200,000 Ethereum, 200,000 Ethereum. Here, 400,000 Ethereum left the exchanges in a single bite. And just to kind of round this idea off one more time, this is the exchange balance percent. Oh, let's go percent total, not stacked. Stacked can look confusing. Here's the exchange balance percent total. So as you can see, since boom, there's March 11th, the height of Ethereum. Here's the boom, big outflow, and then ever since then, Ethereum has been leaving the markets as the price has gone up. And again, you can see the kind of inverse relationship with the amount of supply on the market and the market cycle itself. We've actually been declining here. Again, it doesn't look as easy to manage as Bitcoin, but Bitcoin has a much more set supply. It's not as easy to tell in Ethereum. Again, that's why I have a little bit of contention with the way they're measuring the Coinbase outflow, because it doesn't measure the rest of the Ethereum on the market. This measures all of the exchanges, all of them. So here we could go exchange balance stacked, and we could look at just Coinbase. So here you've got you've got Coinhood, Gemini. So there's Coinhood on the top. Let's see, where's the Coinbase one? What? Doesn't even show up on here? Well, that's honky donkey ponce. Come on, Glassnode, get your shit together. Where the fuck is Coinbase on this list? What? How is Coinbase not on here? Okay, well, maybe I give this one a little bit more credence then, because they don't even have Coinbase on this Glassnode data. That's unusual. I mean, on Bitcoin, that's like one of the main stacked percentage holdings that they keep account for. I'm really surprised that they don't do that. Yeah, there's Coinbase, boom, right there, the majority holder of the Bitcoin. I can't believe they don't show that for Ethereum. It seems weird. Well, I've got something for you to freaking add to your data there, Glassnode. Get your shit together and add Coinbase. Can't believe it's not there. Anyways, again, really interesting to see these big outflows. This is how big players accumulate. They buy a lot, they remove it from the markets. It's usually an indicator, again, that we are going to be moving higher. Even though you're not going to see it right now, the bigger players are going to try to keep us near this lower range to accumulate more Bitcoin at this price. We could see a spring probably to around 29. A retest of that previous regression line would be nice. So we're kind of right in the range. And again, if we come down to 19 grand, like the deal of a fucking lifetime to buy Bitcoin that low. So keep that in mind. Anyways, this is Tia with the Arcane Bear. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Please give us the thumbs up if you like this content. I will take a few minutes, maybe a bit longer, and we'll go over some of your guys' thoughts and questions. So again, just for those of you that also noted, in my other previous videos, I said when we were around 40 grand, if you were too heavy and you were having trouble sleeping at night, that this was probably a good place to lighten the load, just in case you were worried, because we're entering an area of volatility. So I hope if you were too heavy, you took someone's advice, because not mine, because this is not financial advice. Hopefully your own, because that's the best advice to ever take. Let's take a look at what we got here. Everyone is scared shit and bearish. I love it. Yeah, me too. It's always good. Hard to be bearish unless you're watching the charts. Lots of great crypto news. Yeah, again, I'm not bearish. Like I just said, that these are potentials. I think part of it is to always understand that anything's possible. We could get hit by an asteroid. Let's not rule that out. I'm not going to pretend it's not possible either. I just don't think that's the case, or at least soon. It will happen eventually. One day Bitcoin will probably be worthless too. Keep that in mind, but not today. Trapo Chico says, when I was looking overall at the total market cap, excluding Bitcoin, the last altcoin cycle ran for 426. This current cycle seems to have ran for 426. Do you look at the current market as a total? Okay, let's take a look at that. Total 2, is that without Bitcoin, total 2? I forget. Excluding Bitcoin, yeah. Okay, so here's total 2 excluding Bitcoin. Yeah, well, this is where it doesn't look as healthy. This to me in the nice call here, this clearly looks like it could turn into a head and shoulders real quick. But I don't want to, yeah, again, nice call on the total 2 market cap here, excluding Bitcoin. Definitely could be bearish. But as you can see, most of our entries were made back here in these beautiful reaccumulation patterns when we were significantly lower. So we're doing pretty well. I'm not worried. Again, we took a bunch of risk off the table already. And then here is the start of the pandemic. Now, but you're asking me to look at the market cycle time into 2018. Okay, so here would be your approximate breakout ish. I see only 223 days, basically from LPS to final SOS. So here we would do the same thing and measure time just for fun. Kind of primary SOS, about 170 days. Well, the market cycle time is very similar, that's for sure. Again, you know, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, this is not a good time to be adding to positions unless you know how to play the game on the long term, which is just constant accumulation. If you're trying to like play with life savings to make $1 million, you need to figure out a better strategy of just consistent accumulation. This total market cap 2, excluding Bitcoin, represents all of the other volatile assets. Again, this actually looks like a fairly consistent hypodermic top, just to some degree or another. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw kind of a fallout of the market, although, and especially because we haven't seen any real return with all the good news. Again, here too as well, this is with Bitcoin. Primary accumulation back here between June, July, August. This whole area here was like the great time to get in. You can go back and watch all of our videos there. So yeah, again, this is you don't want to be adding huge amounts of risk here, but I definitely added more Bitcoin last the first selling climax around 29 through 31, and some at 34. Go back to Bitcoin here. Yeah, I caught some wicks at around 29, but small amounts. Most of it was between 31 and 34 once we were back in the trading range around here. So again, just for kind of common consensus, you know, a lot of the market is going to be thinking bearish. We've got a lot of fear here. We've got what could be viewed as a very similar kind of hypodermic top. Not too credulous to think that. But again, there are other indicators, especially when we look on chain, that says that's not a bearish finality. Even though we might get a reaccumulation that will last a few months here, again, when I look at the on-chain metrics, the amount of supply leaving the markets, the stock to flow ratio as well is another great way here. We're probably just delayed in terms of finding our continuation. Maybe we roll around here between like 20. Let's just say we even go to 20,000. That would be fucking awesome. And then moving up here to back to the $100,000 area. Michael Workman says, I have a decrease in my portfolio dollar-wise, but I've increased the number of coins. Fantastic. I'm glad to hear your TA. It allows me to keep buying. The profits will come later. Beautiful. It's all about macro perspective. I think that once you get the macro perspective and you understand it, it's such an easier game to really win. Are you familiar with proprietary Wyckoff indicators? No, I don't. I hate stuff like that. It's garbage. They're almost always garbage. We got in the market right when the bull market started. I don't need a fucking random indicator. Like, you can just clearly see it happening. I hate indicators for the most part. In case you care, I don't really care what they said ever. I mean, it's just they just get in your way. It's like adding noise. There's clear signal. There's super clear, noticeable signal. And whoever's talking about like proprietary indicators, you're probably new here. What do you know about the markets to be following indicators? I don't want to be a follower. I want to be a leader. You know how we could tell the bull market started? Because the fucking pandemic took place right here. That was the bull market starting. That's called buy when there's blood in the streets. You know that adage? That is not a metaphor. That is a literal behavioral moment when you should be buying when there's people dying in the streets from an unknown disease. That's when the bull market starts. That's when bull markets have started long before you ever had indicators. You don't need them. That's my sentiment about indicators. Can you look at moon phases? No, arbitrary nonsense. Again, I'm much more interested in, is there a global pandemic? Is there a financial crisis? Are there terrorists crashing planes into buildings? That's my indicator. Rumor has the dump on the 10th for the full moon. Cool. That would be what. So what you're. Oh well, those. I mean, I do like full moons, so maybe we'll just do that for fun. Moon cycle indicator. And again, I don't use moon. I don't use indicators like this, but for fun, I will look at the moon one if I can find it easily. Phases of the moon. Why? Oh, just moon. Yeah, there's the moon phases. Okay, so now we've got the moon phases on each, and now here's the thing: you're going to get a lot of coalescing data. It's going to look like a pattern because you have a repeating 28-day cycle. So here, full moon drop, full moon drop, full moon. There's no drop here. There's no real drop on the full moon here. Kind of through the full moon cycle. Here, to the halfway through the full moon cycle. Here we went up for the entirety of the full moon cycle. So these are not reliable indicators, although it looks pretty. I'll go with that. It does look pretty. It's always nice to know where we are in the month too. The full moon's about to start. But I wouldn't use it as any valuable data. But again, look, we've actually had bearish signals since around the $56,000 mark back here when we posted that video on April 23rd. But again, I'm interested in the long-term story. Really, this part has been a bit more confusing for me. Nailed the beginning of the bull market. Again, I think that when I see people buying Louis Vuitton life jackets, I'm fucking leaving the markets for a bit. That's what I know from now on. Oh, Kembo Zabi says, I'm far from new. Been here for a while. I've studied Wyckoff from the Wyckoff Stock Market Institute by Richard Wyckoff himself. Well, it's impossible because Richard Wyckoff died in like almost 90 years ago now. So and he gave that away too. And if you read the background of the Wyckoff Stock Market Institute, they've fiddled around with it. I think it's what's his name, Butterfield. He's not been great. He fucked up the whole beginning of the Bitcoin bull market. I mean, those guys are not good at it either necessarily. Now, not that I'm saying I'm any better. There is just a clear indicator, the pandemic. That was the Bitcoin bull market starting. And here are the really fun parts too, at least for Bitcoin. This first reaccumulation pattern after the Bitcoin, this first reaccumulation pattern after the pandemic took place, this was sexy as fuck, personally speaking. That and the longer Wyckoff accumulation method. So, I don't know who to study there, Kembo Zambi. I don't use indicators. I try to remove all the noises. I try to remove as much noise as possible. If they work for you though, that's fantastic. Let's see, indicators. Sorry, I probably should have been. He doesn't. Kembo says, Butterfield. He doesn't nail it, but he's pretty good. Again, I just try to look for part of what I loved about Wyckoff's sentiment was understanding like the keynote ideal of looking for market springs highlighted by extraordinary and irrational fear, and then market cycle ends highlighted by extraordinary and irrational exuberance. And it's easier for me to recognize the fear. No matter how much money I have, I still wear fucking beautiful, no name, no brand bamboo clothing. That's like my jam. No matter how much money I'll have, like that's my jam. So because I'm not over rational and exuberant, regardless of how much money I have, I missed this top. But if we look at people like Richard Hart's YouTube on May 12th here, May 8th, when he's wearing a Louis Vuitton life jacket, that to me is going to be clear market cycle tops now, because I can just look at other fucking people who are irrationally exuberant. Oh no, and make my guesses off them. So to some degree, I guess, you know, even when we're using the trading ranges, what we try to do is really look for market sentiments based off the emotionality of the investors in that market too. You know, people like Dan Held being like, the Bitcoin super cycle is going to $1 million. Like, okay, that's a sign we're near top, right? Dogecoin millionaires, that's a sign we're near top, right? So I do want to point that out, that like we could, what I like to do, Kembo, instead of use indicators, is I like to use people and their emotions as kind of my indicators. And we saw clear evidence of Bitcoin, or sorry, overnight millionaires in Doge, Shiba, overnight millionaires in fucking Shiba Inu coin, which is goddamn worthless. So to me, I actually have started to think about integrating a lot more like personal day-to-day over indicators. I remember there was a girl who messaged me trying to tell me what she thought the next best coin was. Like, girl I haven't talked to in for fucking ever decides to tell me, someone who looks at the markets every day, well, not every day, but during the bear market, we made 7 great investments into Fetch, Matic, Seller, One, and Raven, all which did fantastic. And then she decides to message me like she knows what's going on and tell me what the next best big crypto is. So that's the market indicator for me from now on for tops, because I don't get irrationally exuberant. So I'm just going to use other people from now on. And people are really fearful here. Could we get a little bit more fear down to 18 grand? Yes, that would be amazing if we saw this. I would love that. Just even more time to buy fucking more Bitcoin. Again, Ethereum looks a little bit distressful here. This looks like a nice blow off top to me. So that's another sign to be like a little bit more cautious. That like no need to sell the house to get into Ethereum halfway through a bull market. Now, if you want to fucking this is not financial advice, but if you want to mortgage your house in the beginning of the pandemic and lean into positions way back here while everyone's worried about fucking toilet paper, that's the smart thing to do. Whenever you show up as a retail investor, getting into the middle of the market is always a bad idea, because you're probably going to make so many mistakes, unless you don't, in which case it means you're probably listening to the Arcane Bear, you're giving us thumbs up, you're commenting on these channels, you're sharing these videos far and wide, because you know that the macro perspective is extremely important. Nice. Ryan Golding says, I'll show that one. When the random little tards at my work who don't know crap about crypto, shit about crypto, I should learn how to not swear. Because it's definitely probably hurting my YouTube views. I'm sure YouTube gives me crap for swearing all the time. We should have known it was the top by all the people wanting to get into Doge. Yeah, these are clear market cycle tops. Use people around you as market cycle tops. It's one of my favorite indicators now. Because I'm really good at recognizing fear. I was chatting with our technical team and we're like, fuck, I was thinking about buying horses and goats. We were thinking, well, fuck, worst come to worst, I got coconuts on my property. Like, that's when you buy assets like a gangster. Okay, next thoughts. Monthly on Ethereum looks pretty telling. Yeah, again, guys, if you're new to the markets, we took all of our positions down here near like $200. We're up 10x still on all those plays. Like, we ain't stressed here at all. And again, I took out a decent chunk at around 4 grand. So I'm just kind of waiting. I'm waiting it out. But Solana has recovered really quickly. But here, though, even though we had a nice trading range for accumulation, this looks like it could be a bull trap. Unless we get above the POC for Solana here, which would be super sexy. If Solana jumps above $44 and $48, good goddamn Solana. Like, I'm gonna love that. A few of my other positions like Serum have just gotten absolutely destroyed, right back to the bottom of the trading range here. Hundreds of thousands of dollars back to the entry, basically. Rode it up and all the way back down. Yep, Mercurial looking good. Again, a lot of these, I think it's, just slow kind of buttery entries, waiting to see where the rest of the market kind of tips us off. Like $13 freaking avalanche right now. Wow. Yeah. So keep an eye on anything you're interested in, for longer term positions, and just learn how to nibble away on a month to month basis, because we could be entering at least a few more months of kind of sideways market like look at the, yeah, damn son, hey, look at freaking avalanche at $13. There's no way. Come back down this cheap. That's amazing. I love that. I'm going to be buying some more avalanche here soon too. I love this. That's great. I didn't even realize it's so cheap right now. Okay, let's take a look at a few more guys' thoughts and questions. I'm new to this game, about 3 months in. My mate told me about you. I haven't looked back since. Thank you. Well, thank you to you and your friend. I do my best to share my journey and try to explore, what's helped me, and mostly to save you guys from making those same mistakes. Because a lot of people advertise those mistakes as like the right thing to do. Like, hey, go trade with leverage, because if you use a 10x and it goes up 10%, you'll make 100% of your money. And then they fail to tell you that if it goes down 10%, you just lost all of your fucking money. Don't do that. Andrew C says, apparently YouTube is stifling crypto content right now. No, just most people are not interested in it. I've definitely noticed that when I swear, YouTube throttles me. I've noticed that with other channels too, the amount of swearing that each channel does. But I could just be making some shit up, and I'm really just not all that popular ever. It has nothing to do with my swearing. It's actually probably the more likely scenario. YouTube's not doing shit. But they definitely do. They definitely have algorithms that throttle stuff back for sure. I just don't know what that algorithm is or how it works. Sebastian says, can you look at ETH? Yeah, we looked at ETH already. So, if you didn't get in at $240, you were late to the market. So, and if you didn't exit at least some of your positions yet, that means you're new here. And if you're new here, think about the macro cycle. Think about the fact that Ethereum was at $80 in March and it's up at 2,000 now. It's a lot of risk there. Tropico Vet says 438 watching, 164 likes. You know this content is golden. Topo Chico Take Vet, thank you for all your support, by the way. I've known you've been a big supporter of our content on Twitter. For those of you that would like to, you can follow us on Twitter as well. We appreciate all your guys' support. Be sure to follow us at the Arcane Bear. We actually broke 10,000, which is super cool. 10.6 thousand supporters on Twitter here. You can see my beautiful view from my balcony here. If you want to see my waterfall, for those of you that didn't know, I have like a little private waterfall on my property. Check it out. Yeah, there she is. There's a cute little waterfall on my property. There's me all stoked about it. Ah, look, Tio's so happy. Fresh water. I share that stuff on Twitter. I share that stuff on Instagram. You follow us there. You give us the thumbs up. Do you do any yield farming? Yeah, let's see. I grow cacao, coconuts, ayahuasca, coca. I got like 100 other fruit trees. I grow sugarcane, turmeric, yucca, ginger. Damn, son, I got a whole farm that I yield farm off of, but I'm sure that's not what you meant. By the way, Arcane, I was looking at the 1 week time frame on Total 2. Okay, nice. What do you think about startup launch pads like OX, Bull, and TrustPad? Most of them will get wiped out in the bear market. I'm really excited about the bear market. Part of me kind of hopes that the bear market is here just so we can get rid of all the stupid shit and focus on really badass projects again. Part of me is like craving the bear market just to get rid of all the froth. Like, come on, maybe it is here. Let's just go ahead and say the bear market's here, guys, so I can be excited and we can get back to kind of life as normal, making good investments into early seed stage capital and fucking get rid of all this Shiba Inu fucking Dogecoin garbage shit. That would be fantastic. I don't think that's the case, but I'm going to be so fucking stoked for when the bear market comes again. If you want the market to pump, hit that like. Yes, for everyone that hits the like, you are voting for market to go up. I talked to the Bitcoin's founders and CEO. They said if TO gets 1 million likes, we'll send Bitcoin to 100 grand. Not financial truth or advice. Let's see. When are you leaving YouTube then? I don't ever leave YouTube. My dear friend, I make videos about all sorts of shit on YouTube. Most of the time it's venture capital. Most of the time I talk with really smart people, PhDs in multiple fields. And then sometimes I make videos about me traveling. Pick your nose on camera anymore. I didn't pick my nose on camera. But thanks. Arcane Bear Market is here. That would be fantastic. I would actually be so stoked about that. What do you think of Ape Swap Finance? I don't think anything about it. Heat water with sun power? I have a not a solar powered water heater. I use propane for my jacuzzi. Anyways, we'll leave it at that. Thank you guys all for joining us. Matt Haynes says never stop swearing. Well, fuck yes then, Matt. I won't. I just hope I don't get kicked off YouTube for swearing so goddamn much. Thank you all for joining us. For those of you that have kids, plug your kids' ears if I'm talking. I'm not. This content is definitely not for children. Although I do suggest you teach your children how to start investing. Take their allowance and put their $15 every month into Bitcoin, or let them pick. And that's probably one of the best lessons you can give your kid. But I shouldn't be leading that one. That sounds like something for super mom and dad. You guys have fun with this. Let's deal with the Arcane Bear. Thank you guys all for joining us. A lot of fun here. Super stoked about all this. Oh wait, you guys want me to play a little bit of guitar or flute? Guitar or flute, one of the two. Adam can't find the last one here. Adam says you recommended some trading books. Are there any you recommend that pertain to entrepreneur mindsets? Maybe ones that help you with green folk. With product stuff, just make stuff that the community wants. Or if it's for you, make what you want. And if the community doesn't like it, find out what the community wants and then make what they want. But practice with what you're interested in as well. Okay, did you look at Woo? Yes, we did. And for those of you guys that want as well, go to arcanebear.com/private, sign up for a private group, because you know the disease of the early stage investor comes from over emotional trading and lack of education. We have a mastermind with over 1,000 people that are in there working together that make the place what it is. So if you consider yourself adventurous and like to try new things, sign up for the private group, because there is a no risk refund guarantee. If you're not happy, we'll just give you a refund, ladies and gentlemen. It is not worth it as well. Yeah, Bernard Conkin will say bye to you as well. We don't even need your stupid shit. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll play. Always end with music, Bear Den Jerry says. Okay. Let's see here. I think I fixed the other flute. This is kind of a fun little one I picked up in Guatemala. These bamboo flutes are sweet. We'll end off with the bamboo flute here. Yeah, we just got rid of Bernard Conkin. Bye, Bernard. We don't want you here. That's fine. We're not, the Bear family's not for everyone, ladies and gentlemen. You should probably keep that in mind. You can go find another channel. This is we like to keep things family oriented here. So this is I just finally fixed this one. Let's hope it sounds good. See, I had to glue the side of it. You know, like how I don't even care when I'm fixing it. Should probably paint it so you can't tell. We'll get there. Let's see if this sounds better. Oh, it's still broken. Okay, well, never mind. It's going to take a little bit more glue. I was hoping it would be better, but it's not yet. Yeah, this one needs more glue. So we're just going to go to the guitar, and then I'm going to have to continue to try to fix that one. I cracked the shit out of that flute, I tell you what. And then we'll end off with some guitar. So thank you all for joining us. Let's deal with the Arcane Bear. I really appreciate your guys' support. Oh yeah, and just like any good guitar in the jungle, She goes out of tune. How many of you guys can tune by ear? If you can't tune by ear, you should learn how. It's a lot of fun. Okay, let's try this out here. Oh yeah, that sounds much, much better, doesn't it? Yeah, there we go. Okay. I'm so glad to see so many of you guys can tune by ear. Such a great feat. It means you know how to listen. Listening is like one of the greatest experiences ever. Like if you know how to play music, it's because you really know how to listen. And for those of you that know how to listen, you probably like me talking, because even though I don't always know what I'm saying, I'm learning, and I like sharing that process. So thank you guys all for joining us. This is Tio with the Arcane Bear. Again, I'm always grateful to be able to share with you in these strange and weird times. And then so here's a little ditty. Just we'll end with this one. My great grandma passed away this morning. Actually, she was 95 years old. God bless her soul for living like such a fucking gangster. I'm gonna miss her. I was really sad that I couldn't go to Canada this year because of the pandemic without getting stuck in Canada, and I didn't get to see her. I normally always go to visit her during the summertime, and I didn't get to see her this summer. I'm sad that I did not get to see her before she passed away. So if you have friends and family, call them, tell them you love them. But this is, we'll end with this song. Some days the world feels cold. Some days I've had a long, hard road. You'd always be by my side, always there, my guiding light. And this pain is a familiar friend. Hold my hand, guide me till the end. Well, I'll meet you face to face. The memories of your grace. And stay with me through this dark night. Always there, my guiding light. days the world feels cold. Some days I've had a long, hard road, but you'd always be by my side. Always there, my guiding light. Anyways, thanks for that one, ladies and gentlemen. I wrote that one 2019. Yeah, I wrote that in 2019. Glad I can still play it. I love you, Bear family. Thank you for sharing that last moment with me. To my the sweet family who allowed us to be here in the first place. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys again on the next episodes. This is Teal with the Arcane Bear. Boom.